In this video, I'm going to do a few more examples of domain and range. And notice that when we talk about domain, we're talking about x values. So I'm just going to write an x beside it. So we want to know how far does it go to the left and how far does it go to the right. So what I typically do is I find my furthest left point and I just draw a line coming down. And then I find my furthest right point and draw a line coming down. And then I just find out what those x values are so that I can write my domain. Now in this particular problem, you're going to be writing your domain and range in what we call interval notation. So just keep that in mind. And so we're not writing inequalities. So I'm going to go ahead, and it looks like this is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have -6 is the furthest it goes to the left. And then this right here is over at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to be the furthest it goes to the right. So when I write my domain, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write it as, I'm going to do a bracket because that is a closed dot. Notice that this dot is filled in. It's not hollow. If it was an open dot, I would use a parenthesis. But since it's filled in, I'm going to use the bracket. And I put my furthest left value on the left side, and then I put my furthest right value on the right side. So that's +6. This is a filled in dot as well, so I'm going to use a bracket. And that's it for the domain. Now for the range, it's very similar, but now we're looking at how far does it go up and down. Well, the lowest my graph goes on the graph is right here. I'll draw a line coming out. And the highest it goes is right here. So now for my range, I look and go, well, this is lined up with 0 on the y-axis because it's in relation to y. So I'm going to put a y behind range. And the lowest it goes is 0. And the highest it goes is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice that is a filled in dot. And notice at 0, it is a filled in dot. So therefore, we're going to use brackets again. So I'll have bracket 0, which is my lowest value. And then my highest value is 6. And I'll put a bracket. And that's how we do domain and range on one of these. Now there is an exception where we make a difference. We may use a union sometimes if we have an open dot, but I didn't see any of these problems with an open dot in the middle of a graph, so that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm going to do one more for you. So once again, I'm just going to write x to remind myself that the domain is my x values, my left and right, and put a y by range to remind myself that it's my up and down values, right? Our vertical, we call vertical values, and that's my y. So I'm going to go ahead and find the domain first. So it looks like the furthest it goes to the left is right here. And the furthest it goes to the right is right here. So I'm going to count those spaces and we'll see what we come up with for the domain. So furthest to the left, I'm starting from origin. I go to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to be -7. And the furthest it goes to the right is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put that right there. Now I do want you to realize this is an open dot on the right, but on the left it's a closed dot and it's filled in. So when it comes to my lowest value or my furthest left value for the domain, I am going to use a bracket because this one has a closed dot. That means it touches that point. So I'll put -7, comma. And on the right hand side, it goes up to 5, but since it's an open dot, it never touches it. It just comes really close. So I'm going to put a 5 and I'll use a parenthesis after it. So this right here, I'm just going to box it. That would be my answer right there. -7 with a bracket showing that it touches. And then on the right side, 5 with a parenthesis. Now for my range, I'm going to go ahead and get my highlighter. And I see that the lowest that my value goes is right here. And the highest that it goes is right here. Now I really use the highlighter just so I can see where it touches the y-axis. So this one, notice the lowest it goes is going to be down 1, 2, 3. That is a closed dot. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bracket and put -3. Because that's the lowest it goes. And it touches it with a closed dot. And then the highest it goes is this open dot, which to me looks like that's just up 1. So that's going to be +1, but since it's an open dot, after I put the 1, I am going to put a parenthesis. And that would be my range. Hopefully this helps you with your assignment. And that's all there is to finding domain and range on these types of graphs.